should we use brick creams? So Andy, we do get asked a lot about brick creams. We specify brick creams. I'll just explain what a brick cream actually is. So a brick cream is basically looks like a cream. It looks like hand cream. It's made of what's called a siloxane polymer, which when you apply it to a mineral surface, it soaks in, it lines the pores with a hydrophobic material, it repels water, and so it reduces water penetration. But in the practical world, how do we apply them? What are the benefits of actually using them?
So they've been on quite an evolution over the last years that they've been in use. Historically, they were largely pore blocking, and I think that has led to some of the issues about this being quite a divisive topic. Nowadays, as you say, they're more pore lining, and so they repel water, but still allow the pore lining, not totally pore blocking, so they still allow the wall to dry out. They can be applied with brush or roller or even spray applied in some instances, and essentially it creates a sort of clear coating. It sort of seeps into the sort of 5 to 10 mil depth of a masonry surface, whether that's stone or brick or render, and it's really useful at reducing how much water absorption you get from a masonry substrate. And when we're adding internal wall insulation specifically, we are reducing the flow of heat into the wall, and so the moisture conditions in an existing wall can become more onerous after the insulation is added. So water repellent facade treatments are a really useful way of abating that risk by reducing how much moisture is absorbed into the substrate in the first place.
And so the coating the coating, you don't see it, it soaks in, it doesn't leave a sort of a shiny coating. But what are the reasons that we might not want to use one?
I think there's two really key things to consider if you are going to use them. For the most part, this is the sort of thing that could be acceptable on sort of historic fabrics and so on. But there's two things that we really need to be aware of. One is that the coating can degrade and perish over time. So if the specification was absolutely essential that a brick cream was applied, then the occupant needs to be aware of a potential maintenance cycle.
Definitely.
The other thing is that the process is essentially irreversible. So nowadays the brick creams don't necessarily lend themselves to issues over time, but once the coating has been applied, it would be very difficult to undo that process. So that is something you need to be aware of.
The other thing is that there are instances where using a hydrophobic coating, you get a lot more water running off the wall, which causes higher splashback in other areas. So that's another consideration when using them.
And on that point, when it's being applied, because it's not especially obvious perhaps where you have applied it and have not, you do need to be mindful that the coating has been applied continuous over the wall, and you haven't applied it to the chimney stack, but not the section of wall below it, where you're increasing much more runoff onto this kind of absorbent brick below. So a very, very useful material perhaps, but there are some considerations.
Use with caution.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.